Hello everyone, this is Jeff at divinecosmos.net, and this is a reading of my article, The Hidden Insidious Effects of Trapped Negative Emotions. The subject of trapped emotions is one that many are not aware of, especially if they're not familiar with energy and the energy body. A more common term for trapped emotions is emotional baggage. Although most people probably think that emotional baggage is just memories of emotionally traumatic life experiences, it is much more than that and has a slew of detrimental effects that most of us are unaware of. Just about everyone has some emotional baggage from painful life experiences, but it's not all in your head like most people assume. Our emotional baggage is very real, and unbeknownst to most of us, it's causing profound negative effects on the quality of our lives, including our health, relationships, happiness, success, and much more, including whether we'll be able to continue participating in the ongoing Ascension process. Trapped negative emotions are one of the big hidden reasons why so many people are unwittingly manifesting needless adversity in their lives and sabotaging the manifestation of their true desires. As a quick side note, trapped emotions are just one of the many reasons why many of us are sabotaging the manifestation of the success and abundance that we deserve. If you want to learn more about that, check out my free ebook, The Top 5 Reasons You Are Unwittingly Sabotaging the Manifestation of Your True Desires, to learn more. You can find a link to that free ebook below the video or in the article. Despite the adverse effects of trapped emotions that virtually all of us hold, the good news is that our trapped emotions can be released. They can be cleared, and by doing so, many undesirable manifestations will often disappear from our lives. And perhaps more importantly, by learning some new skills, adopting some new perspectives about the challenges and people in our lives, and changing ourselves, our state of being, we can avoid creating new trapped emotions and their harmful effects in the future. The detrimental effects of trapped emotions. Trapped negative emotions are the root cause of, or a significant contributing factor in, almost everything that goes wrong with your physical body, including dysfunction, disease, and pain. They also contribute to creating dysfunction in your relationships, career, and in many other areas of your life. And trapped negative emotions often contribute to maintaining the undesirable circumstances that spawned them in the first place. And worse yet, they can even attract, via the law of attraction, similar adversity in the future. Trapped emotions are a potent force that is ever present and silently blocking you from manifesting health, happiness, and success. And last but not least, if we don't clear our trapped negative emotions, we will not be able to continue to participate in the ongoing ascension that's taking place here on Earth. If you are unaware of this, there is something profound underway on our planet. The long heralded great spiritual transformation of humanity is underway. The energetic frequency of everything on Earth is rising, including the frequency of our bodies and our consciousness. More and more people all over the planet are awakening and remembering their higher selves and the greater reality. More and more people's level of consciousness is shifting upwards as well. This shift in consciousness will ultimately, over the next 20 to 80 years or so, completely transform ourselves and our world. One of the things that can hold us back from this process is our trapped negative emotions. They are literally like an anchor that will hold us down, not allowing us to ascend with everyone else if we don't clear them from our bodies. As the frequency of everything rises, the detrimental effects of having trapped emotions will be amplified, and those holding them will experience increasing health issues and adversity. So more than ever, it's extremely important to clear one's emotional baggage. With all the detrimental effects that trapped emotions can cause, I think you can appreciate why releasing them could be very helpful. Before we get into that, let's explore what trapped emotions really are and how they form in a bit more detail. What are trapped emotions and how do they form? Emotional baggage isn't just memories trapped in your head, it's also negative energy that's trapped in various other parts of your body. Everything is energy. Matter is energy, thoughts are energy, emotions are energy, and of course, your physical body is really just energy. Your body is a very complex set of energy patterns. Energy of a very slow vibration that's visible and seems solid, and the energy of negative emotions interferes with the energy that composes your body and its functions. That's why it causes pain, dysfunction, and disease. Besides the effects trapped negative emotions have on your health, they also are a potent force that, by the law of attraction, attract undesirable circumstances into your life. Far too often, many of us suppress and hold on to the negative emotions associated with unpleasant life experiences. Emotions like anger, resentment, frustration, fear, sorrow, grief, despair, shame, unworthiness, and so many more. When we do this, we trap the negative energy of the emotions in the energy field of our bodies. Why do we suppress the negative emotions that we feel from our painful life experiences? We suppress them because we don't like feeling that way and we just want it to stop. We just want to get rid of them. What we don't realize is that by forcing ourselves to stop feeling the uncomfortable feelings, we aren't getting rid of them, we're just hiding them from ourselves. The energy of unfelt and unreleased emotions just stays in our body's energy field where they arose in the first place. This is why we say the emotion is trapped. We didn't want to fully feel those feelings and hence release them, so they stay in the energy field of our body. Emotionally charged memories. Your trapped emotions aren't just isolated clumps of negative energy. They're associated with the memories of the experience that caused them. As an aside, memories are energy patterns too, just like everything else. Our memories of traumatic experiences often have very strong negative emotional energy associated with them. That is, some memories are highly charged, and those charges stay there until you release them. But you don't because you don't like thinking about that experience and feeling the way it makes you feel. Or if you do revisit those memories and you feel the feelings, you'll hold on to the feelings because you want to. For instance, you want to remain angry and resentful about the perceived harm that another did to you. But ultimately, your perception of any event and the emotions that you feel because of it is your choice, despite how it seems. The choice to play the victim arises from not wanting to take full responsibility for all your experiences and how you interpret them. More about this important topic later in this article. The emotional charges associated with your memories can vary widely, from highly negative to neutral or none to highly positive. But of course, positively charged memories are not a problem. It's the negatively charged ones that cause all the problems. And it's not the memories themselves that are the problem. You can't avoid your experiences being recorded as memories. And there's nothing wrong with memories. They're just objective recordings of what happened. It's your interpretation of those experiences that creates the emotional charge associated with those memories. The reason you store the emotional charges with your memories is because during and after the experience that triggered them, while you were intellectually and emotionally processing the experience, you didn't fully express and hence release the emotions associated with the experience. They were uncomfortable and you didn't want to feel them. You may have also judged the emotions you were having as being wrong or bad, believing that you're not supposed to feel that way. For instance, some believe it's wrong to be angry, making you feel even more uncomfortable with having those emotions. One of the keys to avoiding trapped emotions is to understand that there's nothing wrong with feeling any type of emotion, including uncomfortable ones. If we stop identifying with and judging our emotions, and instead see them as natural and allow ourselves to feel them completely and let them flow out of us, and hence be released, we'll be much better off. Instead, we bury them with the memory rather than fully feeling them at the moment and releasing them. We force ourselves to stop feeling them and they get trapped in there with our memory. We think we've deleted the memory and the associated feelings, but all we've done is hidden them from ourselves, suppressed them, and they've effectively become trapped within us. And each time we revisit those memories and dredge up the associated emotions, we just reinforce the memories and their associated emotional charge because we never release them, and hence we unwittingly maintain or even reinforce those trapped emotions and all the undesirable effects that they cause. How trapped emotions affect what you manifest. Anyone with just a superficial understanding of the law of attraction understands the importance of deliberately choosing their thoughts and keeping them as positive and optimistic as possible. But what about your subconscious thoughts? Your subconscious mind has a big effect on what you manifest in your life. The detrimental effects of emotionally charged memories, trapped emotions, arise largely because they subconsciously affect how we think, feel, and behave, and hence adversely affect what we experience and create. You may be trying your best to think positively at the conscious level, while subconsciously you're having lots of negative thoughts and feelings that are contradicting your conscious thoughts. The more trapped emotions you have, the more subconscious negative thoughts and feelings you have that are silently eroding or negating your conscious point of attraction and blocking the manifestation of your true desires and attracting adversity. Also, we sometimes revisit those emotionally charged memories on a more conscious level, and often more frequently than we're aware of, just to wallow in anger, blame, self-pity, etc., or when we're worrying that something similar might occur in the future. When you revisit your emotionally charged memories, it's like you're re-experiencing the event with all its thoughts and feelings, which is a perfect formula for manifesting more of the same. It's like the practice of intentionally visualizing and imagining your desires to hasten their manifestation, except in this case, you're just remembering a past experience, but with the same effect. You're attracting it. When you revisit your traumatic memories and re-experience the emotions, you're creating a very potent point of attraction, which is increasing the chances of experiencing more of the same. And most of us are revisiting our traumatic memories and feelings far more often than we're aware of. It's kind of just a bad habit. This is probably why the Buddha shared these words of wisdom with the world. Do not dwell in the past. Do not worry about the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. Releasing your trapped emotions. So I hope I've impressed upon you the profound detrimental effects that your trapped emotions are having on the quality of your life. The good news is that there are many ways you can release or clear your trapped emotions and gain relief from their adverse effects. There are many different methods ranging from what I call passive external methods to active internal methods. What differentiates passive external methods from active internal methods is the degree which they require you to identify your trapped emotions and the experiences that created them, and to understand why you chose to interpret and respond to those experiences in the way you did, and perhaps prompts you to learn new ways of responding. Because completely passive external methods of releasing trapped emotions do not require you to identify or understand the trapped emotions and their genesis, they are quick and easy as compared to methods that lie on the active internal end of the scale. But their downside is that you don't learn anything that will help you avoid responding differently to situations in the future and hence avoid trapping more emotions. In the following sections, I'm going to explore some of the well-known methods of releasing trapped emotions. There are probably more that I'm not aware of and many variations, but these are some of the more prominent ones that I've discovered. I'm going to start with the methods that are more passive and external oriented, and I'll progress to the ones that are more on the active internal end of the spectrum. Sound therapy. Sound therapy is a method that has many variations, but what they all have in common is the use of sound to affect the energy in your body. One example of this is the use of a series of 6 musical tones called the Solfeggio Frequencies that are said to increasingly raise your vibration when listened to. These tones help dissolve and transmute negative energy such as trapped emotions, which effectively releases them from your body and your energy system. This method is a totally passive external method that does not require you to identify your trapped emotions or the experiences that caused them. If you're interested in learning more about the healing power of the Solfeggio Frequencies, check out the link below the video or in my article that takes you to a great article on another website about this topic. And it also provides samples of all the tones that you can listen to. Another method of clearing or releasing trapped negative emotions is something that I call third-party removal. There are a number of energy healers that act as facilitators or intermediaries for non-physical beings who provide the service of removing or dissolving our trapped negative emotional energy. The exact methods used by the various practitioners vary, but they all claim to be able to remove your trapped emotions and provide immediate, long-lasting relief from their adverse effects. This is a completely passive external method. It does not require you to identify your trapped emotions or to understand what experiences were involved in creating them or change yourself in any way. It simply requires you to want to clear yourself of your negative energy and be willing to allow it to occur. A great example of someone who provides this service is Ethan Fox. If you'd like to learn more, check out the link that I've provided below the video or in the text of the article on my website that takes you to energy transfer with Ethan Fox. Another method of releasing or clearing trapped negative emotions is something called the emotion code method. This method was developed by Dr. Bradley Nelson, and it uses muscle testing to quickly and accurately identify what trapped emotions a person has and what experience created them. Muscle testing is a procedure that accesses the subconscious mind and infinite intelligence to get yes and no or true and false answers to specific questions regarding what trapped emotions we have and their cause. Apparently, the spirit realms have provided us with this query tool to facilitate clearing our negative trapped emotions, which is essential if we are to awaken and ascend according to the divine plan, because trapped negative emotions are one of the key things that are stopping us from achieving this. Once one has identified a trapped emotion using this technique, they then state their intention to release the emotion and swipe a magnet, which produces an electromagnetic energy field, over the governing meridian of the body to amplify their intention and to release the emotion. The emotion code method is a hybrid method that lies somewhere between passive external and active internal. Even though the direct method is fairly passive and internal in and of itself, Dr. Nelson, in his book, The Emotion Code, does address the changes of attitude and perspective that can greatly help in releasing old emotional wounds and avoid creating new ones. Overall, I think this is one of the best methods and one that anyone can learn and administer to oneself or to one's friends and family. Dr. Nelson provides a thorough explanation of the entire topic and teaches the methodology in his book, The Emotion Code, which I highly recommend. Another method for releasing our trapped negative emotions is something called regression therapy. Regression therapy uses hypnosis to access a person's subconscious mind to locate the forgotten and repressed experiences and emotions associated with them. The process facilitates the release of those trapped negative emotions, and it also encourages the subject to change the way they interpreted those experiences and to change themselves so they will respond differently in the future, making it perhaps the most active internal method available. There are a bunch of other methods that claim to release trapped emotions that may or may not be effective. I didn't explore them in detail, but here are a few of them. The Sedona Method, Acess Bars, and the Emotional Freedom Technique, which is often referred to as EFT or tapping. There are certainly others, but these are the ones that I have found and investigated. All these methods I just discussed share one shortcoming. Even though they can all clear your accumulated trapped negative emotions and the undesirable manifestations they cause in your life, they do not ensure that you won't trap more emotions in the future. And this is because they don't require you to change yourself, the way that you interpret and respond to life's challenging and traumatic experiences. So how do we ensure that we don't trap more negative emotions in the future? How do we no longer create trapped emotions? By understanding how your current state of being is contributing to how you interpret and respond to challenging life situations, and learning a new way of being that responds differently. After all, it's how you interpreted and responded to your past experiences that made them traumatic and emotionally charged and caused you to trap the negative emotions in the first place. The Greek Stoic philosopher Epictetus had this to say about the importance of how you respond to life's challenges. It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. So here's a list of several changes that you can make to yourself that can change how you interpret and respond to life's challenging situations. Making these changes will not only improve how you feel as those situations are occurring, but will also greatly reduce your chances of trapping emotions. So here they are. Number 1, learn to deliberately choose your emotions rather than being emotionally reactive. Number 2, allow yourself to fully feel whatever emotions arise without judgment. Number 3, become more forgiving and less judgmental. Number 4, take full responsibility for everything that you experience. And number 5, look for the pearl of wisdom in every situation and learn the lesson rather than blaming. Let's explore each of these in more depth. reducing your emotional reactivity. One of the things that contributes to the creation of trapped negative emotions is your level of emotional reactivity. Emotional reactivity is when you unconsciously react to situations with strong negative emotions. The key word here is unconsciously react. It's when you let circumstances dictate how you feel and respond rather than deliberately choosing how you want to feel and respond. It's your knee-jerk reactions that you have to life's happenings. One thing that can help you transcend reactivity is being aware that you and only you choose your emotions. Many people believe that their emotions are caused by what someone else is doing or the situation they find themselves in. You've seen this belief in action if you've heard people saying things like, "My husband makes me so mad," or "That made me so depressed," or "That put me in such a bad mood." Of course, this is kind of ridiculous because no one but you chooses how to interpret and respond to situations. No one can make you feel any emotion that you don't choose to feel. Things that happen to you do not determine the emotions you feel. Although you may not have deliberately chosen every circumstance you find yourself in, you do have the ability to choose how you think, feel, and act. No matter what happens, you ultimately are responsible for how you respond. Many of us unwittingly fall victim to our emotions at times. Our knee-jerk emotional reactions can happen so fast that it seems like there isn't any time to choose differently. If you're late for an appointment, you may feel automatically anxious. If someone treats you rudely, you might automatically feel offended. When you're insulted or abused, you may immediately feel resentful or angry in response. All of us experience disturbing situations occasionally, but unless you take responsibility for how you respond, you will simply react. When you allow yourself to react, your subconscious mind and your ego often will deliver a negative emotion, likely ones that you used in similar circumstances in the past. This is because you're allowing the situation to trigger your automatic response patterns. But you don't have to. You can override them and deliberately choose how to respond. In every new situation you encounter, you can choose to feel and respond differently than you have in the past. You always are choosing your emotions. It's just that you're either doing it unconsciously or consciously. Simply becoming aware of this can greatly facilitate you becoming less emotionally reactive. Of course, setting an intention to become more deliberate about how you respond to life's bumps can also help greatly. It's not always easy, but you can get better at it with intention and practice. So here's a practical suggestion on how to avoid simply reacting unconsciously the next time you're faced with a challenging situation. When you feel that surge of negative emotion starting to build, and with practice noticing this will become easier, take a short pause and just breathe. This gives yourself the space to connect with your higher self and remember who you really are or who you want to be, and to consider what response will be the most productive, loving, and compassionate, and only then respond in a deliberate fashion based on that. Of course, one of the keys to consistently choosing to feel and respond differently is to fundamentally change how you interpret situations. And the key to this is to adopt new beliefs and attitudes about people and situations. What I'm talking about here is adopting a more understanding, forgiving, less judgmental attitude, and taking more responsibility for your experiences rather than the tendency just to blame others, and focusing on the pearl of wisdom that these situations almost always contain rather than focusing on the problem itself. I'm going to explore all of these in more detail shortly, But first, let's take a look at how to handle the emotions that do arise so you can reduce the chances that you will repress them and trap them. Allowing yourself to feel the emotions fully. Regardless of what emotions do arise, you must not judge those emotions or yourself for having them. Doing this is a part of the reason that you suppress and trap them. To ensure you don't trap them, you must allow yourself to feel those emotions fully, without judgment. There's nothing wrong with how you feel. They're just feelings. Let them flow through you and feel them completely. Really let yourself vent. Jump up and down, scream, cry, or whatever you need to do, and just keep doing it until the feeling dissipates. Of course, you might want to remove yourself from the situation before you do this, but let yourself do this. And like I said, and this is very important, don't judge what you are feeling or yourself for feeling that way. This only encourages you to suppress those emotions, which is what you're trying to avoid. The goal is to feel your feelings fully and then let them go. If you hold a grudge or if you can't stop thinking about a situation, it's probably because you haven't released the emotional charge that you allowed the situation to create within you. Becoming more forgiving and less judgmental. One of the ways that you can change how you interpret and hence respond to events is to nurture a less judgmental and more forgiving attitude. The inability to let go and forgive is one of the primary reasons why people end up with trapped negative emotions. Understanding the reasons why you are less forgiving and non-judgmental than perhaps you could be, and how to change that, is therefore a very important step on the road to no longer creating trapped emotions. Let's take a look at some of them. Reducing your egoic pride. One of the reasons that people find it difficult to let go and forgive is egoic pride. Although there are positive types of pride, egoic pride is an insidious and damaging type of pride that ultimately ends up harming those that wield it, even though they are likely completely unaware of this fact. And sadly, it is very common. Egoic pride expresses as selfishness, jealousy, hatred, resentment, superiority, ill will, or anger towards others. Egoic pride leads those that are in its grip down a dark path to strong, negative emotional reactivity, often starting with feelings of resentment. And of course, this makes them unwilling to forgive others. Instead, they hold on to the real or imagined wrongs they have suffered and allow themselves to feel angry, frustrated, resentful, etc. And in the worst case, it may even drive them to pursue retribution against those they perceive have hurt them. What they unfortunately don't realize is how damaging holding on to negative emotions is to themselves. Because if they did, they would certainly choose to change their ways. Becoming aware of the nature and consequences of egoic pride and to what degree we're in its grips can be very helpful in nurturing the ability to be less reactive, more forgiving, and to let go. The problem is that even though it's very easy to recognize egoic pride in others, it's often very difficult to recognize in ourselves. But of course, with increased self-awareness, you should be able to catch it in yourself. A sure sign that your egoic pride might be out of control is if you are easily and quickly offended and brought to anger, frustration, and resentment, and tend to hold a grudge. As the Buddha said, you will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger. No one is judging you, but your state of being is either serving you or not serving you. It's either hurting you or helping you. The liberating effect of forgiveness. It is so important to understand how much letting go of old hurt feelings helps you. You may think that you are justified in holding on to hurt feelings because it punishes those that hurt you. But in truth, holding on to negative emotions hurts only you, not them. Those that you have perceived have wronged you may or may not be aware of how you feel and may or may not suffer along with you. But your choice to hold on to the perceived wrong ultimately hurts you far more than anyone else. The Buddha eloquently echoed this point when he uttered these words of wisdom. Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You're the one who gets burned. So the person who you perceive that has harmed you may have done something truly horrible, and it may seem impossible to let go of. But this is your opportunity to do something truly liberating. You can choose to forgive them unconditionally and free yourself of all the negativity associated with that situation. Forgiveness and unconditional love. One of the keys to becoming more forgiving is to foster the quality of unconditional love and compassion within yourself. These qualities motivate us to look beyond the surface of another's actions to try to understand why they behaved the way they did. These qualities will enhance your ability to understand how and why they feel the way they do and why they behaved the way they did. When our hearts are full of love and compassion, we are much more likely to get beyond our own self-centeredness, and we are much more forgiving, patient, and kind, and we are much more interested in the welfare of others and making others happy, and we are much less likely to develop trapped negative emotions. Our tendency will be to overlook the faults and weaknesses of others rather than to judge them. Our tendency will be to look deeper into the reasons behind another's actions and feelings and understand that they are just doing the best they can based on the sum of all their experiences up to this point in their life. Beyond forgiveness. We may even realize the deep wisdom that if we were in their shoes, truly in their shoes, we would feel and do exactly the same as they did. And so often the harm we do to each other is unintentional and happens just out of ignorance. And looking beyond the surface, looking deeper, will often make us realize this. These realizations take you to a lofty understanding that everyone is doing the best they can given their life history and experiences up to this point, and that it really could not be any other way. Then you begin to see the challenges as simply opportunities for everyone to learn and grow. The qualities of unconditional love and compassion are worth nurturing within yourself because they will create a life of positivity that will have you floating joyously high above the negativity and drama of most of the everyday world. Taking full responsibility for your experiences. A very important realization that is both critical to self-empowerment and greatly facilitates changing how you interpret and respond to life's challenges is taking full responsibility for everything that comes into your experience. For anyone on the road to self-mastery and mastery of their creatorship, a crucial understanding is that blaming others is a hugely disempowering habit. When you blame others, you are implicitly saying to yourself and the universe, something outside of myself over which I have no control is the cause of my experiences and my happiness. Which of course is not true, because you are creating your reality absolutely without exception with your very own thoughts and beliefs, regardless of whether you understand how. And by not embracing this, you effectively abdicate your creatorship and you unconsciously create your experience, which will likely contain more adversity and undesirable things than you would prefer. The most productive attitude is, there is nothing being done to me. You draw to yourself every experience your soul requires in order to learn, evolve, and grow. Life isn't happening to you, it's happening because of you and for you. When you accept this completely, you will begin to really see the gift in every situation, however challenging, and you will extract the pearl of wisdom from it and use it to propel your growth and evolution. And you will never again dwell on your past experiences with the slightest amount of resentment or remorse. Focusing on the pearl of wisdom. Another way that you can change how you interpret and respond to life's challenging situations is to always focus on the pearl of wisdom that every situation almost always provides you, rather than focusing on the immediate problem or offense. Is there a higher principle or ideal that can be gleaned from the situation? Is there a lesson to be learned? What pearl of wisdom does the situation contain that can help you grow to be a wiser, more loving, and happier being? Focusing on the wisdom to be gleaned from and the growth opportunity provided by every situation takes you to a higher plane, far above judgment, blame, recrimination, and any other negativity, to something far more productive. And it will greatly increase your chances of never trapping negative emotions again and unwittingly suffering their insidious, damaging consequences. Cultivating self-awareness. One of the key skills that is important to transforming yourself so you can forever be free of negativity and the threat of trapping negative emotions is self-awareness. Self-awareness is essential to all forms of healing and change. Without awareness of your state of being, no change is possible. Awareness enables the choice to make a change. While this may seem obvious, it's often overlooked. Without becoming aware of our defensive and negative thoughts and judgments, how are we to choose to be different? Nurturing and cultivating greater self-awareness is crucial to all growth, including growing beyond emotional reactivity and holding on to negative emotions. One thing you can do that will help with this is to set the intention to become more aware of your mental and emotional habits and behaviors. You might perhaps even ask for help and guidance from the universe or God or your spirit guides or your higher self or whatever works for you. And believe it or not, this will actually help you begin to catch yourself reacting in ways that perhaps you'd like to change. When you do catch yourself reacting, go ahead and acknowledge it and give thanks that it has come to your attention. For example, you might say to yourself, I'm feeling irritable for some reason. I'm really glad I can see that. The increased awareness that you will cultivate will give you the opportunity to learn, grow, and change. If you always respond to becoming aware of your thoughts and your feelings with something like, I'm really glad I can see that, and you feel genuinely pleased and grateful to be able to notice them and have the opportunity to address the source of them, then you will find yourself quickly becoming more and more self-aware. And as you do, you will find yourself gaining deeper and deeper insights into yourself and making more and more healthy changes. Just remember to be non-judgmental about anything you find in yourself that you would prefer to change. You don't have to make yourself wrong to change yourself. In fact, it makes it harder. It's always most productive to notice your thoughts and feelings and behaviors lovingly without judgment. With sincere intention and practice, you can become very self-aware, and this will facilitate much learning, growth, and change in yourself for the better. Summing it all up, Trapped emotions are one of the biggest causes of all sorts of adverse effects on your health and what you can manifest in your life. You create them when you interpret and respond to situations that unfold in your life with strong negative emotions that you are uncomfortable with completely feeling, so you suppress them, which only traps them in your energy field of your body and hides them from you. There are quite a few ways that you can clear or release your trapped emotions from yourself that will give you relief from their adverse effects. But ultimately, you're going to need to fundamentally change yourself if you want to avoid creating new trapped emotions and subjecting yourself to their adverse effects in the future. The choice to clear your trapped emotions and to learn how to avoid creating more in the future should be a no-brainer once you understand how damaging they are to the quality of your life. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the article. If you did, please consider sharing it or liking it or subscribing. Enjoy!